The masquerade rain drummed against the city streets as Sienna hurried through the narrow alleys, her red hair clinging to her cheeks. The black envelope had arrived 3 days ago with no return address, bearing only one cryptic line, "Come as you are, leave as someone else." She slipped through an unmarked door into a world transformed. The masquerade was already alive with music and movement, bodies swaying on the dance floor beneath crystal chandeliers. Faces were half hidden behind ornate masks that glittered like secrets in the dim light. Sienna's own mask was simple gold filigree that curved over her cheekbones, but it made her feel invisible in the best way. Tonight she wasn't the struggling artist whose paintings gathered dust in gallery corners. Tonight she could be anyone. From the balcony above, Leon Hart watched the crowd with detached interest. His black mask matched his sharp-edged suit, and his untouched scotch reflected the lights below. He was used to being the most powerful man in any room, but here, anonymity felt like freedom. No one whispered about his ruthless business tactics or the companies he'd absorbed without mercy. Their collision was pure accident. Sienna spun away from a drunken admirer just as Leon descended the stairs, and he caught her by the waist before she could stumble. Her laughter was breathless, her eyes defiant behind the mask. "Careful," he murmured, his voice low and rich. "These nights have a way of getting away from you." She tilted her head, studying him with curiosity. "Maybe that's what I want." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Be careful what you wish for." The music shifted to something slow and sultry. Without speaking, he led her onto the dance floor, their bodies finding a rhythm that felt ancient and inevitable. Her back arched against his chest, his hand traced the curve of her spine, and the world narrowed to the heat between them. They didn't exchange names. For tonight, that was enough. When they left together, the city blurred around them as they tumbled into the back of a waiting car. Every kiss was a dare, every touch a promise of something neither could name. Penthouse high above the glittering streets, they shed their masks and their inhibitions, moving together with a desperation born of loneliness. Sienna's skin glowed in the moonlight as Leon's hands mapped every curve and hollow. They were strangers seeking solace in each other's arms, trying to fill the voids that life had carved into them.
Afterward,
They lay tangled in silk sheets, the city's lights painting patterns on the ceiling. Sienna watched the rise and fall of Leon's chest, her heart pounding with something she refused to name. Before dawn could steal the magic, she slipped from the bed and gathered her clothes in silence. She left her mask on the pillow as a silent thank you and goodbye. The discovery, Leon woke to an empty room and the lingering scent of her perfume. He stared at the gold mask on his pillow, his jaw clenched tight. He told himself it was for the best. Didn't need complications, didn't need memories of a night that felt too much like hope. But as the days passed, Sienna's laughter haunted him. He found himself searching for her in every crowd, replaying the night in his mind until it blurred into fantasy. He didn't know her name, but he knew the feel of her skin, the taste of her lips. It was madness, and Leon Hart didn't do madness. Meanwhile, Sienna tried to forget him by throwing herself into her art. She lost herself in the chaos of paint and canvas. But nothing could erase the memory of his touch or the way he had looked at her, as if she was the only thing that mattered. She told herself it was just a mistake, a night of weakness, but she didn't believe it. 3 weeks later, Sienna's world shifted in small, unsettling ways. Food tasted strange, her emotions swung wildly, and exhaustion clung to her bones. She ignored the signs until she couldn't anymore. The test was positive, the lines were clear, and unyielding. She sat on her bathroom floor, knees drawn to her chest, staring at the future she had never planned for. She thought of the mysterious man whose name she still didn't know, and felt a pang of longing so sharp it made her breath catch. She was alone, but for the first time, she didn't feel lost. She pressed a hand to her stomach, a small, fierce smile. Curving her lips, "We'll be okay," she whispered. "I promise." Across the city, Leon stared out at the rain from his penthouse window, his reflection fractured in the glass. He didn't know why he couldn't let go of that night, why the memory of Sienna burned brighter than any victory he'd ever won. He told himself it was nothing, but deep down he knew he was lying. The morning light filtered through Sienna's small studio, illuminating canvases stacked against the walls, and half-finished sketches scattered across the floor. She sat at her easel, brush in hand, but her mind was elsewhere. The test had been positive for 3 days, and the reality was starting to settle in her bones. Her phone buzzed, startling her from her thoughts. It was a message from the gallery, downtown. Her painting had been selected for the annual charity auction, a high-profile event sponsored by one of the city's most powerful corporations. Sienna's heart skipped. This was her chance, maybe her only one, to step out of the shadows and into the light. The reunion the night of the auction arrived with all the grandeur Sienna had imagined. She wore a simple black dress, her hair pulled back, feeling exposed without her mask, but determined to face whatever came. As she entered the grand hall, her gaze swept the crowd, searching for familiar faces in a sea of strangers. Leon stood near the stage, surrounded by executives and socialites. He wore his usual armor, a tailored suit, a cool expression, eyes that missed nothing. When the auctioneer announced Sienna's name, he turned with mild curiosity. The painting was bold and passionate, a riot of color and emotion that spoke of sleepless nights and desperate hope. It was unmistakably hers. Their eyes met across the room, and for a moment the world fell away. Sienna's breath caught. Leon's heart stuttered. He crossed the floor in 3 long strides, stopping just short of touching her. "I didn't think I'd see you again," he said quietly. Sienna's voice trembled, but she held his gaze. "Neither did I." They stood in silence, the noise of the auction fading around them. Leon studied her face, searching for answers. "There's something different about you." Sienna hesitated, her hand unconsciously drifting to her stomach. Leon's eyes narrowed, realization dawning like a cold sunrise. "Is it mine?" She nodded, her chin lifting in defiance. "I can do this on my own. You don't owe me anything." Leon's jaw tightened, his voice low and steady. "That's not how this works. I want to be part of this, part of your life. Our child's life." Sienna's resolve wavered, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. "Why? You don't even know me." "I want to," Leon said, his tone softer now. "Let me try." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. Leon insisted on being involved, attending doctor's appointments and learning everything he could about pregnancy and parenting. He was awkward at first, his gestures stiff, his words uncertain, but he tried. That mattered more than Sienna had expected. They spent evenings together, Sienna painting while Leon worked beside her. Their silences were comfortable, their conversations growing deeper. He told her about his childhood, the loneliness that had shaped him, the walls he'd built to keep the world at bay. She shared her fears, her dreams, the pain of never feeling enough. Slowly, the barriers between them began to crumble, Leon found. Himself drawn to Sienna's laughter, the way she saw beauty in broken things, Sienna discovered a gentleness in Leon, a vulnerability he hid from everyone else. One night, as the city slept below them, Leon reached for Sienna's hand, his touch tentative. "I want this," he whispered. "Not just the child. You, us." Sienna looked at him, her heart pounding. "Are you sure this isn't the life you planned?" Leon smiled, a rare, genuine smile that softened his features. "Maybe it's the life I need." They kissed then, slow and searching, a promise of new beginnings. For the first time, Sienna allowed herself to hope. The storm not everyone was happy about their union. Natalia, Leon's former lover, watched from the shadows with eyes cold as winter. She had always believed Leon belonged to her, and she wasn't about to let Sienna take him away without a fight. As the weeks passed, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Sienna struggled with morning sickness, mood swings, and the relentless scrutiny of Leon's world. Every social event felt like a test she was destined to fail. Leon fought to balance his responsibilities, his growing feelings for Sienna, and the machinations of those who wanted to see them fail. The first attack came subtly, whispers in boardrooms about Leon's judgment being compromised. Anonymous tips to gossip columnists about his mysterious pregnant girlfriend. Photos of Sienna leaving doctor's appointments, her face drawn with exhaustion. Sienna tried to ignore it, but the pressure was suffocating. She hadn't asked for this life. this goldfish bowl existence where every gesture was analyzed and judged. Leon's protective instincts kicked into overdrive, but his hovering only made her feel more fragile. "I can handle myself," she snapped. One evening, after he'd hired a bodyguard without consulting her. "Not anymore," he replied, his voice tight with worry. "You're carrying my child. That makes you a target." The breaking point came at a charity gala. Natalia approached Sienna while Leon was trapped in conversation with investors. She was stunning in the way that money could buy, her smile sharp as a blade. "You know this won't last," she said, her voice silk over steel. "Leon gets bored easily. He'll grow tired of playing house, and then where will you be?" Sienna's hands trembled, but she kept her voice steady. "That's not your concern, isn't it?" Natalia's laugh was like breaking glass. "I've known Leon for years. He doesn't do commitment. He doesn't do love. You're just a novelty, a mistake he's too proud to admit." The words hit their mark. Sienna excused herself and fled to the bathroom, where she gripped the marble counter and fought back tears. Maybe Natalia was right. Maybe this was all a beautiful lie, and she was just fooling herself. When she returned home that night, she found Leon waiting for her in the kitchen. His expression was unreadable, but there was a tension in his jaw she hadn't seen before. "We need to talk," he said. Before she could respond, another voice cut. Through the silence, Natalia stepped out of the shadows, her smile triumphant. "Hello, darling," she purred to Leon. "I think it's time we told her the truth." Sienna's world tilted. "Ah! What truth?" Leon's face was stone, but his eyes were tortured. "Sienna, I can explain." "Explain what?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Natalia savored the moment like fine wine. Not about the bet, of course. About how this whole thing started as a game. The words hit Sienna like a physical blow. She staggered backward, her hand instinctively moving to her belly. "What bet? Leon never told you?" Natalia's voice dripped false sympathy. "He bet his board members that he could make any woman fall for him within 3 months. You were just the lucky contestant." Sienna looked at Leon, searching his face for denial, for anything that would make this nightmare untrue. But his silence was answer enough. "Get out," she whispered. "Sienna, please, let me explain. Get out." Her voice cracked with pain and rage. "Both of you, get out of my sight." As they left, Sienna sank to the floor, her hands cradling her. Growing belly, miracles she'd begun to believe in, felt like ashes in her mouth. She was alone again, but this time the solitude felt like drowning. The truth, 3 days passed in silence. Sienna locked herself in her studio, painting with a fury that bordered on madness. Every brush stroke was a prayer, every color a scream. She painted storms and shipwrecks, broken wings and dying stars. Leon stood outside her door for hours, his knuckles raw from knocking. He called her name until his voice gave out, but she wouldn't let him in. Couldn't let him in. The betrayal was too fresh, too deep. On the 4th day, her friend Maya arrived with groceries and righteous anger. "You need to eat," she said, forcing her way past Sienna's protests. "And you need to hear the truth." "I know the truth," Sienna said bitterly. "I was a fool who fell for a lie." "No," Maya said firmly. "You were a woman who fell for a man who's too scared to admit he loves you." She pulled out her phone and showed Sienna a video. It was from the charity gala, filmed by a gossip blogger. In it, Leon was cornering Natalia by the bar, his face dark with rage. "You're lying." His voice was low and dangerous. "There was no bet. There was never any bet." "But darling," Natalia's laugh was nervous now. "You said." "I said I could make any woman fall for me." "That was arrogance, not a bet. And I was wrong anyway. I'm the one who fell." "Hey." The video continued, showing Leon's raw desperation as he realized what Natalia had done. "You told her there was a bet? You destroyed everything for what? Jealousy." Sienna watched with tears streaming down her face. Maya squeezed her hand. "He's been calling me, begging me to show you this. He's been camped outside your building for days." "Why didn't he just tell me the truth himself?" "'Cause he's terrified," Maya said softly. "He knows he doesn't deserve you, but he's hoping you'll give him a chance to earn it." That evening, Sienna finally opened her door. Leon stood in the hallway, unshaven and hollow-eyed, still wearing the same clothes from 3 days ago. He looked broken. "I never made a bet," he said quietly. I was arrogant and stupid, but I never made a bet about you, about us. Then why? Didn't you deny it when she said it? His voice cracked, because part of me wondered if she was right, if I was just fooling myself about my feelings for you. I've never felt this way about anyone, and it terrifies me. Sienna studied his face, seeing the vulnerability he'd tried so hard to hide. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you. The words came out raw and desperate. I love your laugh, your stubborn streak, the way you see beauty in everything. I love the way you make me want to be better than I am. I love our child, and I love the life we're building together. He dropped to his knees, his hands reaching for hers. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway. Please don't let Natalia's poison destroy what we have. Sienna looked down at this powerful man kneeling before her, and she saw the truth in his eyes. Not the cold calculation she'd feared, but genuine love and desperation. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I, he admitted. But I'm more scared of losing you. She pulled him to his feet and into her arms, feeling the last of her walls crumble. They held each other in the doorway, two broken people who had found wholeness in each other's arms. 6 months later, Sienna gave birth to a daughter with Leon's dark eyes and her own wild spirit. They named her Hope, because that's what she represented. The chance for two damaged souls to heal and create something beautiful together. Leon proved himself every day, not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency. He changed diapers. At 3 a.m, held Sienna through the fog of postpartum depression, and learned to see the world through her artist's eyes. Sienna's paintings began to sell, her career flourishing under Leon's gentle encouragement. She never forgot the lesson that love wasn't about perfect people finding each other, but about imperfect people choosing to grow together. On their wedding day, a year after Hope's birth, they exchanged vows in a small ceremony with only their closest friends. Sienna wore her old gold mask from the Masquerade, and Leon wore his black one, a reminder of where they'd started and how far they'd come. Come as you are, Leon whispered as they danced. Leave as someone else. Sienna smiled, her heart full of joy and possibility. I did, she said. I left as someone loved. The miracle between them was more than just a child. It was the chance to rewrite their stories, to heal old wounds, and to discover that sometimes the greatest mistakes could lead to the most beautiful miracles. As they swayed together under the stars, their daughter sleeping peacefully in her grandmother's arms, Sienna knew that this was just the beginning. They had a lifetime of love ahead of them, and that was the greatest miracle of all. Be in to like this video if the story touched your heart. Subscribe for more emotional tales, and share with someone who believes in the power of true love. And let us know in the comments. We love connecting with our global community of romance lovers.